Good evening, everyone. Hey, welcome into Live Confidently Autistic, the live stream. I am your host, the Confident Autistic. Thank you for tuning in. Sorry, we got started a little bit late. There was a little configuration problem on my end, but I fixed it because I'm good at what I do. Yes, the night before Halloween and all through the house. No, that's Christmas. Okay, we're here. We're ready to go. Tonight, we're going to be talking about why time change feels so hard for autistic adults. I'm looking at this graphic here that's on the screen, and I'm thinking I should have put a picture of a DeLorean on it because it's so close to, uh, you know, Back to the Future Day. And 40 years ago, that movie came out, and that would have really been timely. Okay, throughout the night, you may expect to hear more of these little puns on time, but we'll get through it. I promise. Okay, here we go. Yeah, I'm here. It's a little bit different. We have a little bit different background, and my microphone keeps popping in and out of the picture, and that's cool. Let me just figure out where that is. Okay, hold on. There we go. Let me do that. Let's see. It's like Halloween. It's a ghost. It appears, it disappears. Okay, we'll do it that way. That'll be fine. Right here. Okay, we're in. Let me get my screens where I need them to be so I can see what's going on with you guys. If you're watching live, pop on in. Tell me where you're watching from and all that other fun stuff. And before we get into tonight's presentation, tonight's live stream, want to find out what you're going to be doing for Halloween. I know we had a poll. We were going to talk about Halloween tonight, but this one, and that's cool. My plans for Halloween are what I do every year for probably, oh man, I don't know, almost 10 years now. I don't hand out candy. Candy is so expensive. And where I live, kids are trucked in. I mean, literally on pickup trucks. They're driven in and all. And we don't have this many kids in our neighborhood. I don't know where they're coming from, but they are this hundred. And you can spend a lot of money on Halloween candy. And what they've done in previous years, they would get in the back of a truck, and the truck would pull up to my house. The kids get up off the truck, walk up to our door, they get the candy, get back on the truck, and drive to the next house. And I don't live in a rural area where there's like half a mile or a mile between houses. I mean, I'm talking about I could go outside on the side of our house, and within 5, 10 steps, I'm touching my neighbor's house. Okay, it's that close. We're in a residential area. And this is what they do now. They don't even walk door to door. What's up with that? I don't know. Anyway, so what we do is we turn off all the lights in the house. That sounds spooky, doesn't it? Yeah, we turn off all the lights and we pull down the shades. I turn off the porch lights because we have these porch lights that come on at dusk and go back. Turn on at dusk and turn off at sunrise. So we do that. We pull down the curtains. We close the blinds to make sure no one thinks we're home. I take the pumpkin off the front porch. Okay. And now my wife and I usually watch Halloween videos. We watch The Great Pumpkin Charlie Brown. We watch Young Frankenstein. She loves that movie. I like some of Mel Brooks' work. Okay, come on up. I have a cat in here. I just realized he did come in with me, or my wife made him in, one of the two. Are you gonna go up? Okay. Anyway, my wife loves that movie. I watched it every year with her because I love her. I don't get it. I never laughed during that movie at all. It's not me. But I do love Robin Hood Men in Tights and Spaceballs. Love those movies. Okay, he's in the window now. Okay, and we also watched Beetlejuice, the original from the 1980s. We watch Love at First Bite with George. Oh man, I cannot think of his name. George Hamilton, I guess. Susan St. James, I think's in it. Anyway, it's a great movie from the 80s. Um, and we watched Space Invaders, and of course, we gotta watch. I'm an 80s guy. Ghostbusters. So what do you do? And then we have pizza and all, and that's our Halloween. So what do you do on Halloween? Do you give out candy? Do you hide from the kids, what do? Now, last couple of years, we've had less people coming through the neighborhood. But even though we had the house dark, we saw some kids come up and ring the doorbell, and I just ignore them. But what do? In the last for Halloween? In the last few years, less and less kids have been in the neighborhood because I peek out on our Ring camera. I think more kids are going trunk or treating, which I think safer for the kids. Okay, I do. The scary thing about turning off all of our lights at Halloween, because I don't want to give out, I did not buy candy. I don't want to give out candy. I just want to watch TV. I get this fear because if you're on a certain list, the registered sex offenders list, you can't have anything Halloween up. You got to have your house dark, all of that. I don't want my neighbors to think I'm on that list. I want to send out an email to them. I don't give out candy. I'm not on the RSO. It's safe for your kids to wave at me. Okay, I'm not scary. So, but yeah, that's what we do for Halloween. Share your Halloween experiences there. If this is the first time you're watching my live stream, whether you're watching it live or in archive, welcome. I am the Confident Autistic. And on my channel, we have, excuse me, we have videos that will help you understand autism and learn how to rise above challenges and live confidently autistic. And if that's something you're looking for, please smash that like button and that's a special subscribe button and ring that bell to get notified when new videos go up and when I go live most Thursday nights at 6 p.m. Central Time. And you will find great content. We reached a milestone earlier today. I'm very excited about it. We have now, at the time that I started this live stream, I checked, or a minute or two before, we have 300 subscribers. 300. Can you believe that? I'm excited. And I want to thank each. Well, if I knew your names, I would. And if I did, it would probably bore a lot of you in the video. But I really like to thank each and every person who has subscribed. It means a lot to me. I appreciate it so very much because I really hope that what I do is not just entertaining, but it helps you rise above challenges that come with being a late diagnosed autistic adult so you can live confidently autistic. So we reached 300.
That was easy.
Yeah, I got an easy button here. Yeah, love these things. Anyway, so let's get into tonight's topic, why time change feels so hard. Because this Sunday, we fall back an hour, unless you're in Arizona or Hawaii, and I think a little portion of New Mexico. Yeah, yeah, or yeah, I think it is a little bit in New Mexico. Anyway, most of the United States will fall back an hour. And when they say your clock to fall back, I always picture a clock just leaning backwards and falling. That's what I picture. But then I take things literally. I do. It's just me. Um, yeah, and they always say you get an extra hour of sleep. I guess you do one. They now we get an extra hour of sleep. It's for night we get 1 hour extra hour of sleep. They kind of oversell it. And before we get into it, there's one other thing I would like to point out to you that is important. Sometimes it gets mentioning, sometimes it doesn't. This is a good time of the year to check and change those batteries in your smoke detector. That's very, very important to do. You want to make sure you have good working batteries. I we do that every once in a while. We didn't for a while. I mean, this year we did not do it for a while, and it was not pretty. There we go. It was not pretty because around 2 o'clock, 1:30 in the morning, the smoke detector starts going beep, beep, real loud, woke everyone up in the house. And I did not have one, I did not have any batteries for it. And two, because of my physical disability and my wife's physical challenges and my mom's physical, we were not able to change it. So we had to spend all night listening to the thing beep until I can get a family member over later in the day to change it. So this is a great time of the year to check those batteries, change those in your smoke detectors. So you have a nice, peaceful, long winter's nap. Okay, so let me get things moved over here and let's get into tonight's topic, okay? Because it's going to be a fun one. And before I get into that, let me check the chat here. Well, thank you. Congratulations on 300 visitors. Thank you. Yes. Now, one other thing I'd like to bring up, and I really will get into the topic. I promise you that, okay? Uh, it's been chaotic here, okay? I'm going to be very honest with you and very real with you. I don't know if you can see my shirt that well, but it says, I wear pink for somebody who I love. And if you're not familiar with me or the channel or you've not heard it before, my wife is battling advanced cancer, and I'm kind of a caregiver for her as well as my mom, who's 87, who lives at home, and this has really been taking up a lot of my time and all. So I've not been producing videos like I would like to, but I'm hoping to get past that and get a routine going because, as you know, autistic people thrive on routines. So that's what's going on there. And I do have a second channel, and I plan to post some more videos to it called the Autistic Caregiver. It's here on YouTube as well. And and that where I chronicle my journey of being on the spectrum and being a caregiver for two people. So I invite you to check that out because being a caregiver is exhausting, can be a thankless job at times, and is underappreciated by some people. Not always the person you're caregiving to, but by others. And it's a very important thing to me. But we'll get more into that later. So, falling back, let's get into tonight's topic. Falling back without falling apart. How we autistic adults can cope when daylight saving times ends this Sunday morning, that is, at 2 a.m. your local time. So, hey, define yourselfers. I am Chris Mitchell, also known as the Confident Autistic, and I want to welcome you to tonight's live stream, Falling Back Without Falling Apart. How autistic adults can cope when daylight savings time ends. Now, if you're watching live, go ahead and say hello in the chat if you're not already. Otherwise, welcome in. We're going to get started in just a moment. I know we talked a lot, but just one more moment, just hang in there. So, while we're getting all ready here, grab your favorite drink, get any comfort item that you need, stim if you want to, and let me know in the chat where you are watching from tonight. And when I say where you're watching from tonight, what community? Because I take things literally. And I was in a chat a while back, and they said, well, "Where are you watching from?" I said, "My home office, because that's where I am." But I mean, like, what community? What part of the country? What part of the world? Now, as you're settling in, I'd love to know, how do you feel about the time change? And I meant to do a poll, and I didn't do one. Maybe I'll put that up in the community later. Would you like to see daylight savings year round? Or would you like to see standard time year round? Or you're okay with it flipping like it is now? About 8 months on daylight and November, December, January, February, 4 months on standard time. What's your preference? Love to know it. And one of the things I've noticed in life, and it's not nowhere near scientific, and this is both observing people who are on the spectrum and not. People who are born during daylight savings time, I think they function better during daylight savings time. They struggle during standard time. And people born during standard time do better on standard time, and they struggle during daylight savings time. I know that's true for me. I was born during standard time, that is, and I've always found standard time more comfortable. Now, as I mentioned, which do you prefer, year-round daylight savings time, year-round standard time, or continue the system we have now where we change our clocks twice a year? I'll tell you my answer a little bit later. So, as we're settling in, I would love to know, how do you feel about the time change, which we just talked about? Are you someone who loves that extra hour of sleep that we get 1 day a year? Or does falling back completely mess with your routine like it does for so many other people? We'll be diving into that topic in just a moment. Why the end of daylight savings time can hit autistic adults like you and me so hard, and how we can cope confidently and compassionately and rise above the challenges that the time change causes and live confidently autistic. We'll get started right after I take a quick look here at the chat. So bear with me here. Let's see. from Kentucky. I've been to Kentucky. You're in Lexington, and I don't know where that is in Kentucky. I'll tell you, I've been to Fort Knox, and that's the only thing I've been to in Kentucky. And they don't let you take home samples of gold. I don't know why they're stingy about that. I've been to Fort Knox. I did that in a Boy Scout troop. Yes, I was in the Boy Scouts. That was an experience in itself. I mean, and I was asked to lead the Boy Scouts. Now, if you watch Cheers, you would know that Norm was in the Scouts until there was some talk about a hike. I was in Scouts until I got really bored, frustrated, whatever, and I guess I was expressing myself. And they were playing kickball on a baseball field at this school that we met at. And I decided to ride my bike around the bases while they're playing the game, and I was sent home and told not to come back. So I was in scouting, but I did I got invited to go somewhere else Wednesday nights. Anyway, let's see what else we have in here. You prefer standard time. Okay, that's great. Why do you prefer standard time? What do you like about standard time? Now, I like daylight time because I like a lot of daylight at night and staying out late, barbecuing late, and all. But what do you like most about standard time? Love to hear that. Okay. While we're waiting for that to come up in the chat, because I know there's a little delay, let's get into tonight's topic. Every year, when the clocks fall back, we technically gain an hour's sleep. And that's just really for one night. But many autistic adults, that 1 hour change can feel like much more than that. And that's because our routines, our sleep cycles, even our emotions, everything can feel off. It's like our brains and bodies are working on different schedules, at least for a while. And tonight, I want to talk about why that happens, how it affects us, and what you can do to make the transition easier and kinder on yourself. So let's get started here. Let's start with the why this time change hits differently for us on the spectrum as opposed to our holistic peers. Let's start with why this time change hits us differently. For many of us in the spectrum, routines aren't just habits. They are a form of stability. And in my opinion, also helps us regulate ourselves throughout the day. They help us manage our energy. Routines do. Routines help us with our focus. And routines can help us with our sensory experiences. So, when the time suddenly shifts, it disrupts our entire internal rhythm. It's not just an hour difference, it's a complete rearrangement of when light hits our eyes, when our body releases melatonin, which helps us fall asleep at night, and when we feel hungry or sleepy. Now, important thing to remember is because for us autistic people like you and me, we have become more sensitive internal clocks. We have more sensitive internal clocks and unique sensory needs. Now I want to pause here for a moment and talk about I, I want to talk about our internal clocks. And this is pretty cool. You can ask me what time of the day it is, any time of the day or night. And I could, without looking at the clock, I can tell you, and normally within the 3 to 5 minute window. Like right now, I'm not looking at clocks. Honestly, I'm not. I'm going to say Central Time here. I'm going to say it's about 6:17. Now I'm going to grab my phone here and see where I'm at. Ooh, I'm off a little bit. It's 6:26. Okay, and what threw me off is a late start of that. But normally I can tell you the time within a couple of minutes, and and my wife is just impressed. She said, "I don't need a clock. I got you with me." She calls me her little personal PDA, and I keep track of appointments, all that other stuff. Anyway, uh, autistic people like us often have more sensitive internal clocks and unique sensory needs. So time change can lead to fatigue, irritability, sensory overload, or even shutdowns. Now, can you relate to any of this? Has a time change caused you, what problems a time change has caused you? Has it caused you to be irritable or fatigued? Fatigue, I think, is very common. I think it's more common when we spring forward an hour than fall back. Share your thoughts in the comments, and I'll be checking the comments in a little bit. And while we're waiting for them to come in, let's continue this conversation about how the time change affects us. One of the areas that time change, whether we spring forward or fall back, is the time change causes us to experience struggles sleeping. Now, honestly, this is where it hits the hardest, our sleep cycle. Okay. There are also some studies that says the day after the time change, especially that Monday, there's a higher risk of accidents and there's a higher risk of people having heart attacks. So whether you're autistic or not. But for us on the spectrum, one of the hardest areas it hits is sleep. Because many autistic adults already deal with sleep challenges. Oh, believe me, I could talk for hours about my sleep challenges. I don't know about you, but I know I can. So, when the clocks change, it can throw off our circadian rhythm, which is what our body naturally does to manage time and manage our wake sleep cycle. This makes it harder for us to fall asleep, stay asleep, or wake up feeling rested. And when we are sleep deprived, everything else, from sensory tolerance to emotional regulation, becomes more difficult. That's why sleep is so important. So let me ask you something. How long does it usually take for you to adjust when the clocks change? For me, that depends. But typically, it takes me about a week to fully adjust, maybe 10 days, sometimes five. It takes me a little while to adjust. I think for me, as I mentioned earlier, I was born during standard time. So when we spring forward is a little harder for me because now when I like getting, I like to try to get, I don't succeed at this, but I like to wake up about 5:30 in the morning. But when we spring forward, my body is still in standard time. That becomes 4:30. I'm getting up an hour earlier. So that's one of the things that really makes it hard for me to adapt. And it takes me about a week to get used to that. And part of the problem is when we spring forward, and I know we're talking about falling back tonight, but when we spring forward, let's say I go to bed normally at 9. Well, when it's 9 o'clock daylight time, that's 8 o'clock standard time. So like I can't go to sleep because my body's still awake for another hour and it throws off me going to sleep and waking up. So it does take me about a week to adjust to a time change, including when I eat. And, you know, when I look outside, the sun would be lower in the sky or higher in the sky. I mean, noon looks different than it did a week before. So let me check the chat here because I think it takes me a couple of weeks to adjust my sleep. Yeah, I get that. That's the hardest part for me. I get adjusted to the sun having different positions pretty quickly. I get adjusted to eating at new times, so to speak. But yeah, it takes a while for the sleep thing to really kick in. It does. And then that first night, staying up to 9 p.m. when we go back, well, that's 10 p.m. my body, and I'm really exhausted, but yet I still can't go to sleep because I'm trying to get my body to learn this new system. And it's frustrating. I don't know about you, but it is frustrating to me. Okay, now let's talk about the emotional and sensory impact time change has on us. While the end of daylight savings time, with the end of daylight savings time, I should say, it's also getting darker earlier. And for some of us, that can lead to mood dips or what's called seasonal affective disorder. Some people call it seasonal affective depression, but technically a seasonal affective disorder, which I have been diagnosed with that. Okay. Less sunlight means less serotonin, and vitamin D, which can make you feel tired, unmotivated, or even down. Have you ever noticed? Because cats love sunlight and they react the same way. When you have a sunny day and you have an indoor cat, they love laying by a window and having that sunlight hit them. And they have so much energy later in the day. Now, since Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, last 5 days, we've had nothing but clouds. So our cats have not gotten any sunlight. They're kind of lackluster. So when we as human beings are not getting daylight and sunlight, that can have the same effect on us where we just feel tired and we don't have the motivation to do anything. And maybe we even feel down. Now, if this sounds familiar to you, know that you're not alone. There's nothing wrong with you for needing more light, warmth, and or structure during this season. For me, I have this, okay? I have this problem with the days getting shorter. In the fall, I kind of handle it a little bit better. You know, I will look back, like in the last month, we lost over an hour of daylight where I live, okay? And it's like, oh man, it's getting darker earlier. But I'm okay with that in the fall because I know Christmas is coming and my birthday's coming and I'm excited about that. Then starting like the 1st of January, where it's still dark, like around 5 in the evening where I live, then it gets to me. It gets like, oh man, where's spring? So I would love for us to have New Year's Day and the next day, first day of spring. And I don't know if you know this or not, but many years ago, the year did not begin in January. It began on March 1st. It did. This is why Leap Day is at the end of February, because that used to be the end of the year. And it would be the first of the year, and then a couple of weeks later, spring would be there. But they changed the calendar. I think Julius Caesar did. I don't know. I don't remember that part of the history of it. Anyway, January 1st became it. And this is why September, which is our ninth month, September, or Sept, S-E-P-T, is for triplets, I believe that's how it's pronounced, but represents number 7. October, remember the octomom? That's 8, even though it's our 10th month. November is relevant to the number 9, and December, DEC, like a decade, is 10. So the year used to start in January, and I wish it, I mean, in March, I wish it did, but it starts in January now, and we just have to live with that, whether we like it or not. Now, we have talked about some of the challenges that we face with the time change. Now let's talk about how we can rise above challenges and live confidently autistic with these time changes. So here are a few ways to make this transition smoother. Now I'm going to share these with you. And if you have a way that helps with your transition of a time change that I do not mention in here, put that in the chat. And if any of these techniques that I'm going to mention is something that helps you, let me know. Let's have that conversation in the chat. The first thing we can try doing is shift gradually. Move your bedtime and or wake up time by about 10 to 15 minutes over a few days. This is a great strategy to do. Okay, I love the idea. However, if you're adjusting your wake up time, uh, my tip to you is make sure you do not oversleep tomorrow and be late to work if you have to go to work. Okay. But this is a great way to start shifting the time on your terms. Okay. Instead of letting it be a hard shift when the clocks change Sunday morning. Additionally, you may want to use light intentionally. This means get natural sunlight in the morning or use a light therapy lamp. I have off camera and I don't have it plugged in because I don't need that much right now. But I have a light therapy lamp that I used to have around me all the time, especially in the winter, that really helped with my mood and my depression. So the things do work. You might want to get yourself one of them. I bet they're on Amazon. What isn't on Amazon? You know? The third thing we can do is to keep our routine anchors. Try to eat meals, take meds, or start key activities around the same times. So let's say you're supposed to take medicine each morning at 7 a.m. and 7 p.m. Okay? Pretty realistic. Now, when we fall back, that's going to be 6 a.m. and 6 p.m. If your body's going to think it's 7 a.m. when it's actually 6 a.m., go and take your medicine. You're still doing them 12 hours apart. And you may want to check with your doctor on this. I'm not a medical professional, but you could try something like this, especially if it's medicine that's time sensitive. Please check with your doctor before you toy anything like that. But the point is, don't worry about the time change. You live your life on your schedule and just, do the math. For some of us, we're great at math. Others, it's a frightening thing. But live life on your schedule and make the rest of the world accommodate you. You deserve it. The number four thing we could try doing is plan for rest. The first week after the change, keep your schedule light if you can. Don't overcommit to things. Don't get involved in stuff or go to things you really don't need to, because that's going to wear you out and make this adjustment period harder. So make it a light schedule if you can. I unfortunately don't have a light schedule. We're going to fall back an hour. And then Monday morning, I have to get up at 4 a.m. Thank goodness that's going to be 5 a.m. to my body because of daylight time, but I don't normally get up that early. So, anyway, that's going to be a challenge for me. But you do want to try to keep your schedule that first week light, because this is self care. This is helping you adjust to the time change. And you need to take care of yourself. You got to prioritize yourself because you are important. Additionally, during this transition period, after the time change, and maybe even before, be gentle with yourself. If you're struggling, you're a little tired, whatever, remind yourself that you are not lazy. Let me say that again. You are not lazy or unmotivated. Your body and mind just needs time to reset and adapt to the time change. Now, uh, what are your own tips? I mentioned this earlier, on what helps you adapt to the time change. And as we wait for this to come in, I noticed a few things came in the chat. So I'm going to peek over here and see what's in the chat and what's going on here. I usually start going to bed earlier to get my body adjusted to the change. That's a great idea. I would love doing that, except I want to be a morning person. I used to work in morning radio. I love mornings, but I'm also a night owl. In fact, if I could live my life the way I would like to, this is what I would do. I would wake up around 5 or 6 in the evening and go to bed around 7 or 8 in the morning. There's less distraction. I can really focus in. I don't have people wanting to talk to me, phone calls, all that stuff. I can be more productive. I would love to work nights, but because of things that are going on in my life right now, I have to be a day person because doctor's office is not usually open at 11 p.m. at night. Let's see, we had one other chat comment in here I want to do. All very good suggestions. Well, thank you. Thank you. I appreciate those. And if you have one of your own, go and type that into the chat. We'd love to hear it. Whether you're live or watching an archive, your suggestion could help somebody else. Now, before we kind of continue and wrap up this conversation, uh, I would like to remind you that if you're finding this very helpful, okay, and like I mentioned earlier, please subscribe to the channel. And when you do, hit that bell to get notified. We made it to 300 subscribers. Let's get that number and keep that number growing, okay? So, and I really do appreciate everyone's uh, subscribing to the channel. It means a lot to me. 300 is a wonderful number. I'm excited about that. I would like to get to 314 because 314, well, besides pi, okay, we all know that. 3.14 is pi with some more digits after it. 314 is the area code of St. Louis where I was born. And I'm just going to be so excited when we get to 314. For some reason, I know this is off topic. Numbers are significant to me. I don't know about you, but they are to me. Like, wow, 314, like March 14th. It's actually known as St. Louis Day, 314. So when we reached 209, that was the area code that I was in when I lived in California. So I like that. I just find that kind of stuff interesting. When we get to 415, that's the Bay Area code. I'm going to be excited about that. 916 is Sacramento. And when we get to 916 subscribers, I'm going to be so stoked. It's going to be like, what is Sacramento? Anyway, I think I'm getting off topic here a little bit. But the point is, I'm very much appreciative of that. And let's see. And if you would like to make sure you don't miss any of the great stuff I'm doing, to help you and others in the community of late diagnosed autistic adults, those who self identify as autistic, those who are seeking or have received a late diagnosis of autism, or just suspect they're on the spectrum. You want to check out my website, theconfidentautistic.com/start. When you go there, you can get my free PDF that gives you some practical tips to start to understand your autism and start building self-confidence. It's a free PDF, about 28 pages. It has reflection questions. It's my free gift to you. So if you have not already, go there and get that item. I like, if who doesn't like free stuff? Just like in that sketch on Saturday Night Live with Steve Martin. This was a funny one. In fact, I was at an event to look for guests for some video series I'm going to be doing. And one of the guests was there was promoting a book he wrote. And I guess about a 100, 200-page book, whatever. It's, how to live life financially responsible. That's not the title, but that was the theme of it. I thought, you do not need a 200-page book for this. There's a sketch on Saturday Night Live with Steve Martin in it. And it's hilarious. And it was, don't buy things you can't afford. That is the secret. If you want to be debt free, don't buy stuff you cannot afford. See, if there's something you want to have and you don't have the money, don't buy it. Now, if you want that item and you have money, you can buy it. It's really a great sketch. I recommend you look for that. And what brought this up is me mentioning that my PDF is a free gift. And when they were talking on the sketch, the person, the pitch guy, was saying it's a free pamphlet, and Steve Martin's character said, "Free? We can put that on our credit card." Yeah, there's some people who really do not understand financial responsibility, but this is a free gift from me to you. My PDF about living confidently autistic. It will help you if you're starting to self-identify or suspect you're on the spectrum, or even if you're late diagnosed. It will help you understand what autism is, and it will help you take those first steps to building self-confidence so you can rise above the challenges of autism and live confidently autistic. Now, it's your turn. What has your experience with the end of daylight savings time? How does it affect your sleep, your focus, or your energy? Now, for me, and we talked about this a little bit earlier, it does affect mainly my sleep. I think it affects that the most. And that takes the longest for me to adjust to it. And then I think eating is third, and second is realizing when I look out the window and the sun's at a certain position, is earlier in the day than I think it is because we've fallen back. That's how it affects me. How does it affect you? Go and share that in the comments, sir. Love to hear how you feel. Now I mentioned earlier, what would you prefer? To stay on standard time, to stay on daylight time, or continue what we're doing? I kind of like to, my first choice is to continue what we're doing. Excuse me. because I really look forward to the longer nights of the summer and having that light and being able to stay outside later and barbecue and all that other fun stuff. And when I was a kid, when daylight savings time hit and, school's still going on, I had more time in the afternoon to play before it got dark and I had to go in the house. It's like, extra time. I got out of school early. It was a great feeling. But I would prefer to continue. Now, if we were forced to stay on one of the two systems, I think I would pick daylight time. Okay, I do. I like the extra light at night. I don't mind waking up when it's dark. Because, like I said, I worked in morning radio. I've done that, and so I'm fine with that. I just like having more daylight at the end of the day. But my solution to this, and nobody thought of this, okay, is should we stay in daylight time? Should we go to standard time? What should we do? How about halfway? What if we just fall back this year 30 minutes instead of an hour? Okay. And then we stay on that time. Then we're always halfway between daylight savings time and halfway between standard time. And that should, in theory, make everyone happy. What do you think of that idea? What do you think of that idea? That's my way of solving that problem. Now, this week is a very interesting week because in London, in the United Kingdom, they fall back a week before we do here in the United States. So for 1 week, we are 1 hour closer to people in London than we are the rest of the year. The next week we fall back and everything back to normal. It's a weird week. I don't know, but it's kind of weird. So anyway, let's see. Patterns are all kinds of um are, are interesting. Patterns are, yes, I love patterns too. I do. Uh, I use that a lot, and I got to have things organized. And this house is a disaster. Okay, I'll let you know. Yeah, it's cluttered. It's distressful. I like organization. I don't know about you, but I do. Anyway, yeah. So the time change is coming, whether we like it or not. Unless you're lucky enough to live in Arizona or Hawaii, then you don't have to worry about it. But everywhere else, you pretty much have to worry about it, and it's going to happen. Okay. So it's kind of a fact of our lives here. So we just have to deal with it, and hopefully, some of the suggestions that I shared tonight will help you with it. I thought about the 30-minute schedule. I think it may put us off the hour synchronization with the rest of with other countries. That is very true. That is very true. But I'm thinking the half an hour thing everyone on this planet should do. I think it should be global. Okay. I'm looking at the big picture here. Everyone should do this. Okay. Now, before we wrap this up, if you have any questions about how to manage time changes or other transitions as an autistic adult, drop them in the chat and I will do my very best to answer those questions live. So, I mean, it's a big thing. It's a change, but it's also a chance for us to start transitioning into thinking about what we're going to do for Veterans Day, what we're going to do for Thanksgiving, what we're going to do for the holidays. That can bring some stress, okay? Because it's like, oh my God, family gatherings, parties, and all of this stuff. I don't know what to do. It's coming. We got to deal with that. But I'll be here practically every Thursday night between now and the 8th of January with live streams, and we'll get through this holiday season together. I promise you that, okay? I do. Don't worry about that. Yeah, global would work. Yeah, I totally agree. Global would work if everyone shifted 30 minutes. Yep, it would. There's one or two countries that's actually a half an hour off from the rest of the world. I can't remember what countries they are. I find time interesting. Okay, I just do. I mean, as a kid, way before the internet, I was like, okay, so I'm watching MASH Now, when do people in California watch it? Are they watching it at the same time? I've always found time fascinating. It's one of my things that I just love doing. I love time. I love time zones and all. And, when we got cell phones, when we were traveling as a kid, we didn't have cell phones. And we had to wait for that sign on the road that said, you're now entering a mountain time, or you're now entering Pacific time, or you're now entering Central time, or whatever, right? Now, with your cell phones, as you're driving down the road and you're entering a new time zone, you can see the numbers change on the clock instantly. Now, one thing I love doing, I don't know about you, but I like to stay up late on the Saturday night into Sunday morning when it falls back an hour. And I'll watch a channel like the Weather Channel, CNN, something that has a clock on it at all times. And then I watch the clock go back an hour, and usually done on Eastern at 2 a.m. Eastern. And then I have my AIs in the house, and they have screens with times on it. And I will stay up and watch those go back from 1:59 a.m. to 1 o'clock a.m. I love doing that each year. I know I'm weird. Okay. And the time on the on a satellite dish change. It is so cool. Okay, I'm geeking out a little bit. Anyway, I would like to thank you for joining me tonight on this live stream, Live Confidently Autistic live stream. And I want to remind you that needing time to adjust to a time chain doesn't make you weak. It makes us human, okay? Every autistic person deserves the grace to slow down, adjust, and care for ourselves without guilt. So if you found tonight's live stream helpful, please like the video, subscribe, and share it with another autistic adult who might be struggling with the time change. Now, last week when I mentioned sharing this video, we had a regular viewer in the chat. I don't know if that person's here tonight or not. Peekaboo. And Peekaboo was watching on a Roku. I wanted to know how you can share a video, a live stream, or whatever from Roku. So this week I spent some time, I played with it. And I did it on the Google Chromecast as well because I have one of those. And you cannot share from the Roku or the Chromecast. I tested extensively. I did research on it. The only way you can share if you're watching this on a Roku or on a Google Chromecast might be true for Apple TV. I don't know. I don't have an Apple TV. Apple's, those are healthy things. I don't eat healthy stuff. Anyway, Anyway, what you need to do is do the share from another device, whether it be from a cell phone, a tablet, a laptop, or a desktop. You can't do it from the TV, Roku device, or the Chromecast. That you can't. That's something they really should fix. So I'm going to say that right here. They need to fix that because hey, a lot of people stream on the TVs now. We need to fix this. Okay. And if you like more tools, resources, and bonus content to help you build confidence in your daily life as an autistic adult, visit my website, theconfidentautistic.com. So, let me take a quick peek at the chat one more time. Uh, Nothing new in the chat. That's fine. So, thank you for joining me tonight. We'll be back next Thursday night at 6 p.m. Central Standard Time. So if you're in the United States, that means it's still 7 Eastern, 6 Central, 5 Mountain, 4 Pacific time. But in Hawaii, because Hawaii is not these crazy people that do the time zone hopping, instead of starting at 2 p.m., instead of starting at 1 p.m., we'll be on live at 2 p.m. in Hawaii. And if you're in Arizona, okay, instead of it starting at 4 p.m. Arizona time, we'll be live at 5 p.m. Arizona time. So I hope to see you next week. Until next time, this is the Confident Autistic, reminding you to rise above challenges and live confidently autistic. See you next week and keep an eye on my YouTube channel to find out what the topic will be as soon as I have one picked. Have a great weekend. Enjoy that extra hour you get off this weekend. whatever you're going to do in Halloween, make it fun, make it something that makes you feel good about yourself. And I will see you next week. I think something else came in the chat. Yes, and good night to you as well. See you guys next week.